Welcome to the Middle Age Magic Top 10 Frequently Asked Questions we see online about planning your trip to Disneyland Paris. So, hi, and welcome to the Middle Age Magic Top 10 Frequently Asked Questions about Disneyland Paris. So, Sam and I are both members of a number of Disneyland Paris boards, groups, Facebook things, um, and we see a lot of questions that are asked at least 2 or 3 times a week that may seem glaringly obvious to most people. But I can understand if you've never been on holiday before, if you've never left the country before, and if you've never been to Disney before, there's going to be a bunch of questions that you may feel like it's necessary to ask. So come with me with a quick romp through the top 10 most frequently dumbass questions that people ask about Disneyland Paris. Number one, do the hotels have towels? And of course, the answer is yes. Yes, they do have towels. Hotels in Europe do provide you with towels. Now, they may not be the same as your towels at home. They might not be as big. They may not be as fluffy. And they will always, always, always nearly be white. No, they will nearly always be white. But yes, the hotels do have towels. That includes the Disneyland Paris hotels themselves, the partner hotels, hotels in and around Paris. Airbnbs usually provide hotels, and if they don't, they will let you know when you book them. But all European hotels, particularly the Paris and Disneyland Paris ones, will provide you with a towel. The only exception to that rule may be if you're using a pool. Some hotels, not necessarily the Disney ones, but some hotels will ask you to bring your own towels if you're going to use the pool. But just check with your hotel if you're worried. And if you're driving, just pack a towel to be on the safe side. So, answer number one, do hotels have towels? Yes, yes, they do. That may seem like a stupid question, but it gets asked 2, 3, I think I've seen it 4 times in 1 week before on different boards. It should be pinned at the top of every single Disneyland Paris planning group ever, because it's probably the question that gets asked the most that we see. I saw this one last week, which did make me chuckle, but I completely understand why someone would ask it. 2, can I drink the water? Now, if you've never travelled outside of Britain before, or if you've never travelled inside of Britain before, I can kind of understand why someone would ask this question. But Disneyland Paris is in northern France. It is 20 miles across the English Channel from where I'm currently sitting in Broadstairs, which is not far from Dover. And yes, you can drink the water. You can drink the water throughout most of Northern Europe, to be honest, and it might taste slightly different to ours because it doesn't have the same amount of fluoride and the other goodies that our water companies like to put in the water to keep us fit, healthy, and safe, and our teeth shiny. But yes, it might be a bit softer or a bit harder depending on where you come from in the country, what your water's like. But the water's fine to drink. And of course, if you don't feel comfortable drinking water, there's plenty of bottled water that you can buy. It is expensive. Be aware that a bottle of water, a small bottle of water, like the 750 milliliter bottle of water, is going to cost you about €4 if you go. So if you drink a lot of water, it's going to be a bit expensive. But yes, you can drink the water. It's safe. Another question that goes along with that, which isn't a question on its own, but this can be kind of question 2A, is where can I get milk? Brits love a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. I particularly love a cup of coffee. And we do like milk. I do like a drop of milk. So if you do want to get milk, if you've got a kettle or you want to make your own tea, etc., you can buy milk from pretty much anywhere. So the train station in Disneyland Paris, the newsagents in there sells milk. The garage by the Cheyenne also sells milk. There's a supermarket not far from DLP that sells milk, and obviously the big one at Valda Europe sells more milk than you could ever know what to do with. Do be aware that it is UHT milk, which is long life milk, if you don't know what UHT milk is. So it tastes a bit creamier than your regular pasteurised milk that you get in the UK. But it is milk. Nevertheless, it does come in 3 different flavours: skimmed, semi-skimmed, full fat, like we have over here. Yeah, so it is possible to get milk. Question 3. What is the weather like? As I have alluded to before, Disneyland Paris is in northern France. It's just to the right-hand side, to the east of Paris. And it's probably, I think we looked it up, about 250 miles away from Dover. So it's not a million miles away. It's probably the same distance as me driving to my mum's and back. She lives near Windsor. So it's not that far away. My biggest advice is get at least 3 weather apps on your phone and check them regularly. Check it a couple of weeks before you go, check it a week before you go, and then still pack something that just in case, if you're wondering about what clothes to take, because as with UK weather, it can change. It's not like, it's not near the Sahara Desert. It's not roasting hot. It does get warm sometimes in Paris when it's in the summer, and it does get cold in the winter, just the same as here in the UK. They have been known to have freak heat waves. We've been a couple of times in June where it's been hotter in Paris than it has been in the Sahara Desert. It was like 44 degrees one day, but that was a freakish heat wave. And we also had the freakish heat wave at the UK in the same time, but it wasn't quite as hot. So do pre-prepare that in the summer it may get warm, and in the winter it may get very cold. And take the appropriate clothing with you. Which leads us on to our next question, which we see regularly. Number 4, how cold or hot is it, and what clothes should I take? As I've just said, it's about the same whether it's here. It's maybe a couple of degrees warmer or colder because it's a bit slightly more south than the UK. But generally, the weather's fairly similar. It does rain in Paris. It has been known to rain quite a lot in Paris. So be prepared with a light rain jacket, or buy a poncho. We can buy the ponchos at Disneyland Paris, but they are quite expensive. Just anything that will keep you dry in a light rain shower. It's worth taking a hoodie or some kind of jumper because it gets chilly in the evenings in the summer. But just pack appropriate clothing for the time of year. If you're going in the winter, pack the clothes that you'd wear here in the winter, and take a spare pair of shoes if you're going when it's likely to be wet, because your feet will get very wet and you will need to dry them out overnight on a radiator. Depending on how many people you go with you, that's a lot of shoes on a radiator. So check the weather apps, as I've said, on a regular basis. If you ask on any of Disneyland Paris boards, the first thing that someone will say to you is download a weather app and look at least 2 or 3, because then you can get an average of what the temperature and what it's likely to be like. So there you go. That covers your what's the weather like and how hot, cold, what clothes should I take. Leading on from that, I'll skip a question and then go back. We'll go with number 6, which is really now number 5, is what shoes should I wear? The correct answer to this is comfortable shoes and never a new pair. Sam made the mistake one year of buying a new pair of Converse. She didn't even attempt to break them in, and she wore them all day in the Magic Kingdom Disney banding as Minnie Mouse. And by the evening, she was absolutely crippled, and I had to do a mercy run to the Croc outlet to buy her a pair of Crocs. So if you're going to buy a new pair of shoes because you want a new pair of trainers or a new pair of shoes to take to DLP with you, please break them in first, wear them around the house, wear them to the shops, make sure they're comfortable, because you are going to be on your feet for, anything from 6 to 10 to 12, even longer hours in a day. You're on your feet all day. You'll do 20,000, 30,000 steps at least a day at Disney, even if you don't. If you bimble like us, you will do a ridiculous number of steps and you're on your feet for an awfully long time. So please make sure that whatever shoes, and take 2 pairs just in case you have some kind of incident with one, whatever shoes you take, make sure they're comfy and that you've broken them in. And always pack an emergency set of blister plasters just in case, because at least that way you're covered. There's nothing worse than being at the happiest place on earth with very, very sore feet, because you'll be standing for parades, you'll be walking around, and if your feet hurt, it will make you miserable, and you really don't want to be miserable. You're in the happiest place on earth. So do the sensible thing and break in new shoes. A good example of shoes to wear would be Skechers, because they've got memory foam in. New Balance trainers have got memory foam in. You can wear sandals as long as you're comfortable in them, but if you've got high arches, don't wear flat shoes, because your feet will absolutely kill you at the end of the day. I have made that mistake. My go-to when it's really hot in the summer is a pair of Crocs with trainer socks on. And you might laugh, but seriously, my feet love me for it. So there you go. So wear comfortable shoes. So question 5, which is now question 6, is what time do the shows and parades start, and what is closed? So we see this an awful lot posted up on all the boards as well. So the answer to this is download the Disneyland Paris app. That is your friend. That is the oracle. That knows everything. So they do post everything onto the app now, including all the parade start times, the end of evening show, the castle show, which there is a picture of the 30th one behind me. That is always at park closing. So every week there's at least 10. What time does the park closing show go? Oh, it's at park closing. Clues in the name. Or what time's the fireworks on? What time's the light show on? It's always at park closing. So whatever time it says the park is going to close, that's what time the end of day show is. The same for the shows that they have in the Studios Park currently, or not currently, but currently coming back, is the Avengers drone show. That is always at park closing as well. So if you want to see both of them, you have to see one day and one another day. You can't see them on the same day because, well, you could see them on the same day depending on what time the park's closed, but it is always at park closing time. The parade times are also always on the app. And the parade times change depending on the season and what time of year it is. So there's a number of parades that happen throughout the day. Check the app first. It's always worth checking the app before you book a meal, which isn't always available, because the times only get booked a few weeks in advance, and sometimes you'll need to book a meal a months or so in advance. So be aware that you might have to change your plans or watch the shows or watch a parade at a different day because it might clash with a meal. But the app has got everything on it. So download the Disneyland Paris app, because the first thing that people are going to say if you ask what time is, they're going to go look on the app. The app has also got details of all the closures and refurbishments. So if you want to find out if your favourite ride is open, the app is your friend. They do try and publish closures in advance, but some people book their holiday 2 years in advance, so you can't be guaranteed to know that Pirates isn't going to be open when you're there, or It's a Small World's going to be closed. I mean, some people would like that because they don't love it, don't understand why. But yeah, so the refurbs and closures are all listed on the app too. So the app is your friend. Download it now. Off you go. Well, actually, no. Wait till I finish talking, then go and download it. Question number 7. Oh, this is another favourite. But are there hair dryers, iron, kettle / other insert here inside the room? And the answer is it depends on your hotel. Um, Pretty much every hotel I've ever stayed in ever in Europe, in fact, every hotel I've ever stayed in Europe, and I've stayed in a few, has a hotel in the room. Depending on what level of hotel you stay at DLP will depend on how good the hairdryer is. If you're in the budget hotels, it's attached to the wall. If you're in one of the posher ones, you might get a real hairdryer that you can plug into a socket if you're lucky. But it also depends on your hair as to what strength of hairdryer you need. Now, as you might have realised when we've been making videos, and I've alluded to on a number of occasions, I have got very, very thin, wispy, straight hair. I don't need a powerful hairdryer. In fact, most of the time when we go away, I don't even use a hairdryer. I towel dry it. By the time we finish getting ready, my hair is dry. Sam, on the other hand, has got the world's thickest hair, and if she washes it, towel dries it, and plats it, it's still wet 48 hours later. So if Sam's going to dry her hair, she needs a powerful hairdryer, and the ones at DLP aren't going to cut it for her. It's like me going and blowing on it. So if you've got thick hair or you like to do your hair, take your own hairdryer. That's what we recommend. And also, do not forget to pack a European plug adapter. 1 second, I'll get one for you. Don't know whether you can see this. This is a European plug adapter. Sorry, castle getting in the way. It's a 2-prong adapter. You will need this. The amount of posts that we see that says, can I use my UK plug when I go to Disneyland Paris? No, you're in Europe. You need a European plug adapter. Go and buy one on Amazon or in the supermarket. They're about 3 or 4 quid. Take one and a 4-gang extension lead. You can take more than one, obviously, but take at least one. If you take a 4-gang or 3-gang or 2-gang, whatever extension lead, you can then plug your UK plugs into that and then plug the extension gang into the wall with your European plug. DLP hotels are known to not be very forthcoming with the plugs. I can't remember which hotel we stayed in, but there was 4 of us in the room and there was 2 plugs. There was 2 plug sockets for 4 people, which was interesting. But luckily, because I travel a lot for work, I'm an IT geek, I always carry a 4-gang extension lead in my laptop bag. And I've always got my laptop bag with me when I travel. So we were fine. An iron. Most hotels will have an iron in reception that they will let you borrow. If you're a clothes ironer, I'm not. But that does surprise you, I know. But yes, you can borrow an iron. So just go and ask at reception or the concierge desk, and they will furnish you with an iron and an ironing board. That's not a problem. And the same with a kettle. Most hotels will lend you a kettle. They may ask for a small deposit before they give it to you, which is fair enough, I suppose. But generally, it's not all European hotels have a kettle. Some do, some have a coffee maker, but DLP, it tends to only be the higher priced hotels that have a kettle or a coffee maker in the room. The mid-based and the budget hotels tend not to. If you're driving over, take your own is what I recommend, because when they do give you a kettle, it may only be a travel size one, which is useless because you can only get one decent sized cup out of a travel size kettle. So yeah, if you're driving and you want a kettle, take your own is probably the best thing. Nip to the supermarket, Argos, Asda, Sainsbury's, Morrison's, insert other supermarket here. You can buy a kettle for under a tenner, and then take it with you, because at least then you've got decent sized cups and decent sized kettle to make tea. are the same if you need a cot or any extra bedding or extra pillows or things like that. The concierge desk or reception will be more than happy to help you. They very rarely can't help you. They'll do their best to help you if you need some extra assistance room wise, as long as you don't take the mickey. Excuse the pun. They'll do what they can to help you. So where are we now? Question 8. Oh yeah, is there shampoo and conditioner, body wash, etc. in the room? Yes, is the quick answer to that. Nearly all hotels I've ever stayed in, anywhere in the entire world, do have complimentary toiletries in the room. The only difference now is they tend to be, rather than small bottles or that you could take for a souvenir or take home and refill up, just use again on your next trip, they tend to have a big dispenser that is attached to the wall, and they top it up on a regular basis, mainly for environmental purposes, for the lack of waste. But yes, so most hotels now will have, they have at least one which does everything. So it does hair, body, in the shower. Obviously, if you like your own specific type of shampoo, conditioner, body wash, take your own. If you're flying, that can be tricky, obviously, because we're still on the 100 ml limit for things. But the train station does sell the basics for hair and shower, and they also sell sanitary products, which is useful if you get caught short, ladies, you're at Disneyland Paris. The train station is your friend. It's got all of that kind of stuff. There's also the supermarket around the corner, which we'll put a map up to at some point, because I always say it's around the corner, but it isn't far. You could probably walk to it, maybe not. But the garage at the Cheyenne also sells all of that kind of stuff. So if you need any kind of hair, body product, deodorant, sanitary towels, or ladies products, the garage at the Cheyenne and the train station are the two closest things that will sell all of that for you. Yeah, so there you go. Number 9. Oh, how do I get my balloon / lightsaber / large product that I've bought without wondering how I'm going to get it home? How do I get it home? Well, the answer is it depends on how you got here. So if you're driving, no problem. Deflate your balloon, put it in the car. If you're on a train or if you're flying, basically, if you're having a balloon, you've got to deflate it to take it home, unfortunately. If you're careful deflating it, there's probably a good chance you could re-inflate it with helium when you get back home and stick it up with a bit of tape. But yeah, balloons, I've never bought a balloon at Disneyland Paris, mostly because I've wondered how I'm going to get it home. But, I'm sensible now, so I know that you deflate it to take it home. I was like, how am I going to get it on the train, like the balloon? The Eurostar will not let you take a balloon on the train. You have to deflate it. They might let you take a balloon on a train, but they shouldn't let you take a balloon on a train. The same with lightsabers. If you've flown, you can check a lightsaber in. It has to be checked baggage, I believe, for a lightsaber. You can't take it in hand luggage, it's too big. Counted as a weapon, has to be in the hold. So make sure you pack it appropriately, because the last thing you want to have done is to spend arms, legs, and kidneys on a lightsaber to have it damaged because you haven't packed it properly. If you're driving, it's not a problem. If you've bought something ridiculously large and you need to ship it home, you can arrange to do that. It will probably cost quite a lot of money, but it is possible. So the best thing to do is to go and ask at City Hall or ask at the concierge desk at your hotel, and they will help you arrange to ship the ridiculously large thing that you have purchased home. So it is possible. And the last question is, we have a fussy eater, or my child will only eat, or I have a friend who is allergic to insert here. Will we find something to eat at Disneyland Paris? And the answer is nearly always yes. I say nearly always because if you've got people with an allergy in your party, it can be, not tricky, that's the wrong word. It can be a bit more laborious to to get things sorted. But the best thing to do is, if you know you've got someone with an allergy and you know where you're going to eat, try and contact the restaurant before you go, which is easier said than done in some cases. Or when you get to the restaurant, let your server know straight away before you even get seated that you have someone that's got an allergy in your party to a certain thing or a certain number of things, and they will do their best to accommodate that person. As far as fussy eaters go, out of all the Disney parks, Paris has probably got the most extravagant food. And I say that extravagant at the lower end of the scale. Obviously, if you go to a posh restaurant, I said posh, anything's posh for me. If you go to a more upmarket restaurant at Disney World, the food will be it'll be extravagant. But even in the quick service restaurants, some of the Paris food can be quite extravagant. So, but buffets are your friends here. A buffet is your friend because a buffet has got all sorts of stuff on it. Nearly all the buffets at DLP will have what Sam and I lovingly refer to as yellow food in the kids section. So it will have chicken nuggets or chicken tenders. It will have some kind of pizza, and they always have a cheesy margarita with nothing on it pizza, because they know kids and sometimes adults can be quite picky as to what they eat. They will always have some kind of potato product. And that might be fries, it might be potato croquettes, it may be mash, it may be Mickey head shaped potato pieces, it might be smiley faces, but they will always have some kind of plain potato product. So even the fussiest of eater will find something. Also, although they do, a lot of buffets do some beautiful food. I mean, the Moroccan curry that used to be in Inventions was something to die for. But they also have veggies that haven't got any kind of massive amounts of seasoning on, and they will always have some kind of chicken dish that's not too saucy. So you should be able to find something for even the fussiest eaters. And of course, there's lots of places that do the standard burger and chips. The Hyperion Cafe, or Cafe Hyperion, I can never remember which way around it goes, does a great Star Wars style burger and chips. Well, at least they used to do a Star Wars style burger and chips, but that's the place to go for burger and chips. It's tasty. It's a big portion. There's lots of quick service restaurants in the studios that do that kind of thing. They do chicken tenders, they'll do burgers, they'll do like a pork sandwich, or you can get a croque monsieur, which is basically ham and cheese on toast. A lot of the quick service places along Main Street will do something like that. So even the fussiest of eaters should find something to eat. So there you go. There's our top 10 quick, frequently asked questions about Disneyland Paris. We'll do a few of these, I think. We'll do some packing tips. We'll do some planning to go to the US trips. What's the 10 things you must do or must take? So hopefully you've enjoyed this quickie. That sounds wrong, but this quick top 10. And we'll see you again soon. So thanks for watching. Bye for now.